Hey everybody, I'm Howard, and this is Otter's Retirement Corner. So I was out most of the late morning and most of the early afternoon playing softball. Came home, ate, saw the news. Haven't showered yet, so I apologize for that. Full of sweat and sunscreen, but obviously I wanted to get to this. It's shortly before 4 o'clock Eastern time when the markets close. So, as everybody knows right now, Trump has decided to suspend the reciprocal tariffs. I don't know what we want to call them, the higher tariffs for other countries except China. So everybody for 90 days is going to get a 10% tariff, except China's going to get a 125% tariff on their goods. And 90 days out, supposedly, he'll reinstate the tariffs he planned. I don't know. And that's, it's like, what's going on? For anybody not to see at this point, this is just a comedy of epic proportions, isn't paying attention. Whether you're a fan of Trump or an enemy of Trump, or you like him or hate him, whatever it is, obviously this administration is in disarray. They don't know what they're doing, why they're doing it, when they're doing it. They may have a good coherent plan, but they're just not implementing it well, to say the least. And I don't care what your politics are, and tell me I'm anti-Republican or I'm pro-Democrat or anti-conservative, pro-liberal, whatever you want to do. You have to face facts here. This is being handled extremely poorly. So, why did this happen? Why did he put a halt on this? Certainly he's getting pressure from Republican leaders. He's getting pressure from business leaders. He's getting pressure from foreign leaders. Is he listening to that? Did he, is that why he decided to halt it for 90 days? Or did he just suddenly realize, did it suddenly dawn on him, or did someone finally convince him that this was just a terrible idea and that U.S. consumers in the end pay these tariffs and that it's highly inflationary and it will likely put us in a recession? Did he know that before? And I don't know. I don't know the answer to these questions, but because we have all these questions, I think reflects on how poorly this was rolled out and executed. So, foreign leaders have said, the White House has said, 70, 90, 100 foreign leaders have called wanting to negotiate. We forced them to the negotiating table. But yet what we're hearing from the foreign leaders is they're either not getting their calls answered, they're not getting their calls returned, or they're talking to somebody who will merely listen and not negotiate. So who do we believe? Who knows what's going on? As of this recording, the S&P was up 9.03% today. NASDAQ was up 11.48%. The S&P is still down about 11.5% from its high, and NASDAQ down 15.6% from its high. So there's still a lot of damage that needs to be repaired as far as the markets and the wealth that has been lost on paper to some people, unfortunately, in real money. Apple stock, which gets 90% of its iPhones made in China, it rebounded about 15% today. It's still down, substantially, well over 20%. I could make the case for that being a price way too high, and I'm an owner of stock. If this 125% tariff stays in place on China, you can make a case for Apple not being worth more than $25 a share. That's the honest truth. Their alternative is to sell it at more than twice the price of selling iPhones now, or make them in the U.S. and sell them to 3 or 4 or 5 times the price they're selling them now, which would substantially hurt their sales. Clearly, so what's the value of the stock? Far less than the 190 some dollars it's trading at now. But we'll wait and see what happens there. So the interesting thing is, not only in my comments, but people close to me, friends, relatives, over the last week, have come to me, should I sell my stock? Should I sell my stock? Should I sell my stocks? And as you people know, my stance on this is, this is a disruption in the market, which happens every 4, 6, 8, 10, whatever period you want to look at. This one is not natural. We force this one. But over time, we will recover from this. And I don't know how long that time is. So, if you've got 3, 5, 8 more years, as I told people, I would not be selling anything. I've said to a couple of people, said to me yesterday, I got to sell now, I got to sell now. Well, I don't know when the market's going to turn around, do what you want, but, the odds are that you can sell at the right time and buy back at the right time are extremely slim. And I would ask those people today, how do you feel about it today? How would you have felt if you sold out everything yesterday or the day before, and boom, we hit this big recovery? No one likes it. Of course, tomorrow, it could turn around and go right back down. We can fall another 20, 30% from where we are now, or we can go back to where we were. It all depends on how we handle these tariffs going forward. And if we, if we keep screwing up, if we keep, doing unforced errors on ourselves, on our economy, and on the world economy, stocks are going to get bad. The troubling thing was prior to today, treasuries were way down, which was the opposite of what we talked about the other day because there was a flight to quality. As stocks go down rapidly, usually that money comes out and goes to treasuries because they're safe, they're a quality investment. What we saw, though, the last few days is treasuries were going down because people were selling, and it was mostly foreign sales. And the reason is they were getting out of U.S. denominated assets. Treasuries went down, dollar went down, stocks went down. And what does that tell you? It's just people outside of the U.S. losing confidence in the U.S., and that's a terrible precedent. And maybe that's another reason, they convinced Trump to wait on these tariffs. I don't know. Treasuries continued going down today. I'm not sure where the dollar is today, but this is something we got to watch. I think the bond market is a lot better indicator of what people in the know think than the stock market. Listen to people who know bonds, listen to people who understand bonds, watch Bloomberg. They interview a lot of people who understand this business and understand the economy and understand the repercussions of what's going on in the bond market. So pay attention to that. So, at this point you have to ask, what was the true goal of the tariffs? Because clearly, well, I don't know, did we fulfill that goal already? If the goal was chaos, and if the goal was to lower stock prices, then yeah, they fulfilled their purpose and we could be done with them. Why would that be the purpose? You tell me. There's lots of rumors, and these are rumors, these are conspiracy theories, that, Trump was driving down stock prices with, having given that knowledge to people close to him so they could sell or short stocks and make money. It may be ridiculous. I have no proof of that. I have no evidence of that. This is just kind of things you hear. It would seem like a long way to go to make some money for some friends, though. It's kind of silly, but those are things you hear. Was the goal to equalize trade imbalances? Well, no, because if we just go with 10% tariffs on everybody, it's not going to equalize trade imbalances. If we go to zero tariffs, if we go, whatever tariff we put in, it's not going to equalize trade balance. I was listening to NPR talking about Cambodia. They sell most of their goods to the U.S. A huge percentage of their economy is exports to the U.S., and they buy almost nothing from the U.S. And the reason they buy almost nothing is because they're poor. The average wage there, they're mostly textile workers. The average wage there is about $230 a month in U.S. dollars, and they're poor. They cannot afford to buy our goods. You could have them stop selling us anything, and they're still not going to buy from us. And then only, by selling us things do they have money to buy whatever it is they buy now. The saddest thing is most of these people in the textile industry are women, and the narrator was saying that if these women don't have these jobs, most of them go into the sex trades. Cambodia is like that, Vietnam is like that, several Asian countries are like that, several of the poorer countries are like that. No matter what you do, they're not going to be able to afford to buy goods from the U.S. because of the cost of our labor, cost of manufacturing. So, are we going to equalize the trade imbalances? No, doesn't matter what we do. The goal was, if that was the goal, it wasn't met, it's not going to be met. new U.S. trade manufacturing. Talked about it before. Not going to happen. I saw a guy on YouTube the other day, owns a company, talking about how he had tried to have everything manufactured in the U.S. and everything costs about 8 times what it does to have it manufactured in China. So he's better off having it manufactured in China, paying the tariff, and selling the goods here, because no one who manufactures in the U.S. can compete with him. So he still has an equal playing field with everybody else importing from China, but who pays that extra money? We, the consumers, do. So you're not going to see new manufacturing. I don't think we need it. I don't think we want it. I've said that before. Was the goal a recession? Why? To get lower interest rates? Trump always liked lower interest rates. Did he want to really spur the Fed to do that? Crazier things have happened. If we do hit a recession, they'd probably lower interest rates. What's the net effect, though? I think just the recession itself hurts us so much. Lower interest rates don't get us back to equal, much less higher than where we were. So what's next? In 90 days, are we going to see these tariffs happen? My guess is no. My guess. I don't know anything. My guess is no. Just judging from what's going on with this administration, what's going on with the people within it. There's a lot of infighting. Besant and Musk were supposedly upset with these tariffs, or upset with our trade representative Navarro, thinking he doesn't know what he's doing. Musk called him a moron. Who is Trump listening to? Outside of Stephen Miller, I don't know who he listens to as a reliable source. I don't know what Stephen Miller's take is on all this. We'll wait and see. But my guess is you're not going to see nothing happen for 90 days and then these tariffs go into effect. Something else will happen. So obviously, tell me what you think. Tell me how today affected you. What changes you're making again. What questions you have, where you think we're going. And as always, thanks for listening, watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.